again with the part two of the intro slash outro video that I was making. So I'm gonna pull up FL Studios right now. I actually already have it pulled up, and as you can see, what I've done so far is I literally just took that brass loop that we had before and I reversed it. So basically, what that means is I went into Edison and I literally took the sounds that the loop was making and you know flipped them around to play in the reversed order. It's like clicking rewind on a remote almost. Just in case you didn't get that, even though it's pretty self-explanatory. Um, so I would have shown you how I did that in Edison. The only reason I didn't is because I think Edison is a very important tool, a very important plugin along with New Tone and New Time. And I think they deserve their own video. So instead, I'm just going to tell you what exactly I did, and then we're going to go from there. So basically, I reversed the entire loop, and I realized I was like, you know what? This doesn't really sound that good. The only part that sounds very good is the first measure, which is this. So I looped that 3 times, and then I was like, that's kind of repetitive. I can't just do that for 16 bars. So on the fourth measure, it goes dun 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 dun. I simply went into Edison, changed the pitch, shifted it down, and changed the coarse nature of the loop as well. And one thing I want to clarify, in my last video I started saying sample. These are loops again, I want to clarify, not samples. I'll explain the difference sometime later when I cover samples, but these are loops, not samples. So, okay, so we had this brass loop reverse, and then I called this brass loop reverse and stretch downward. So those 4 bars looped would sound like this. And then, so because I already showed you everything that I had to do and have done in here, I don't really need to re-show you that again, which is good, so we can get going right to drums, and then some more mixing, and I can really get into depth with mixing with you. So the drum pattern we had before is the one we'll keep now, which was this pattern. So, sorry, didn't click it. Here we go. It's this pattern, and I think I'm actually just going to go back to the last arrangement. I'll delete this actually. Go back to the last arrangement. I like the way I laid out the drums, bass drum, and 808, so I'm just going to copy that and paste it in here. And I'm going to have a very similar intro to the outro. The only difference is really the reversal. And I think that's pretty cool because if you think about it, intro, outro, almost like opposites, almost like reversed. So anyways, let's get into how I made these drums because we didn't really have time to in the last video. Oh, by the way, whenever something's highlighted like that, if you just see me go like this and then delete it, that's just to get everything unhighlighted. That's just like, a little OCD thing, that's all. But anyways, let's start off with the basic pattern for most of the drums, pattern 1. So in this, I always start off with, let's go to the channel rack. I always start off with the claps and the snares. Now, the reason this was hard was because I wanted to challenge myself and only use preset sounds that FL Studios gave me. Or not even preset sounds, but like preset sounds. So when you load up FL Studios, these are the bass drums that they give you, which are not even close to trap drums. So I had to do a lot of pre-mixing within this stuff to get them to sound correct, as you can see. And then I'm going to have to do probably even more mixing afterwards, as you'll see as well. The only reason I'm not going to show you the pre-mixing too is because I kind of showed you that in the last video already with the intro beat. So anyways, let's get into what these drum patterns are like. So I always start off with the claps and the snares because they're always on 3. Sometimes you'll have them on 2 and 4, very rarely, depending on tempo, but almost always the claps and snares are most consistently on 3, so might as well get them out of the way. So what those sound like together is just like this. Oh, I didn't play pattern. Sorry, I'm on song. So again, not bad. Not super trap. It could be a little more crisp and stuff, but it's really the best I could do. But we will be mixing it more, so who knows? Maybe we can change that as well. Let me see if there's one more thing that I did to the hi-hats that I want. I think that was where it is, and that's probably the best sound I'm going to get from it. Maybe a little more of a change the length a little bit. This just changing the length of the whole sample. Yeah, alright, I think that works. And I'm going to change that to 1 like I always do. Snare, change that to 1 again like I always do. And I think snare, got that pretty close, so that's pretty good. So again, yeah, they sound pretty good. I don't think I can get them any better with pre-mixing. So next thing I have are the perks. So the perks by themselves are just a triangle on the rim, which just sound like this. Oh, sorry, I'll open piano roll. So, not that complex, very simple, just on 4s and triplets. But with these snares and claps, they just add a little something extra. Now, last but not least, and these are the only non-preset sounds I use, but sadly they aren't very good, to be honest, as FL Studios doesn't have, they basically only have this one triangle, and they basically only have, a few good rims. This is one of their only good rims, I would say. But this rim is pretty good. I will give them that. I do think that the rim, if I play it on its own, does sound pretty good. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Pretty trap. So again, if I play everything together, it sounds like this. So pretty good, but we are missing one key important thing, hats. So if I go to hats, the initial sound of the hats was terrible, but I pre-mixed it pretty well, so I got it to sound around like this. Oh, I didn't. Sorry, I didn't select it. Um, which is pretty trap, I think. Um, if anything, I think that's not a classic trap hat, but it sounds even better than like a classic one would. And how I did that was basically by doing a few adjustments. Mainly, though, I changed the pitch up a little bit because the pitch is going to be a little lower on a non-trap um, uh, hi hat, and then I'm going to use the multiplier to just overdo that pitch change and everything with this time stretching. Now, normally I would do that in Edison, but because this isn't a loop, you don't. I would say the only time you change pitch and multipliers and do time stretching not in Edison is if you just have a sound you want to change, then you do it here. If you have a full loop, then you go into Edison like we did with these up here. Okay, anyways, back to the drums. So anyways, everything together. Oh, and just a comment on the hats. If you're wondering how did he get like, you know, the ideas for all of the stutters and note changes? It's pretty random, to be honest, and I think most producers will admit that. Sorry, just checking the time. Oh, wow, I wasn't recording that whole time. Okay, great. Was I video recording? Yes, I am video recording, but I'm not sure if you can hear me talking while I'm video recording, which isn't a good thing, but I don't want to stop because if you can, then um, it's fine and I can keep going. Shoot. Oh, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Alright, I'm going to stop because you didn't get to see any gestures too, so I'll just stop for that. I was recording, so I just had to make a part two now and combine them together, which is no big deal. But anyways, what I was saying is I do think hats are pretty randomly paced. Now there is some syncopation in, again, music theory that we'll get to in later videos, but for now, if you look at like Genius Deconstructed, they'll even admit to it. So um, just do what sounds best, really. That's like the best advice I can really give on downbeats, ones, threes, twos, sometimes fours, stuff like that. Just do whatever you think sounds best, and that'll probably work out for the hats because they always tend to work out. But anyways, so that's how I got the pattern for this. I'll play it one more time. And now everything together sounds like this. So everything together sounds like that. And then the last two elements, you're probably wondering, where's the kick? Where's the 808? Well, they actually belong in their own patterns, and the reason for that is something I'll show you right now. So first we have the 808. The 808, very simple. I'll play that for you right now. The 808 was just, oh, sorry, the 808's muted. The 808 was just, and how I came up with that was literally just C, D, B, F, D, C, D, B, da 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 da. So literally, all you have to just stick to a basic pattern. It's a basic few note patterns. I use 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not even going to count because those are in the same group, D and D sharp. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Five notes. That's it. That's all you really need for the 808. You could even use less for that. I could have ended on a quadruplet on F, something like that. 808s are just very simple syncopated patterns. And if you're confused as to what syncopation is, it's just 1, 2, 3, pop. So every 3 beats, something's going to change. And then it goes 3, 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, as you can see. Watch. 3. That was the first 3. 3. That was the second 3. 2. 3. Last 2. So that's everything for that. Now, you're going to take that, copy it, and for the bass drum, here's what most people do, alright? And I hate doing this, but this is what most producers do, sadly. They just take this, copy it in the bass drum, say, let's make the 808 punch here, call it a day. That is not good, in my opinion, as a drummer and as a bass player. Bass drum, and as like anyone who knows anything about rock or just music theory or anything in general will know the bass and bass drum aren't supposed to be like used coexistingly. They're completely different. So you can be inspired by it, which is what I do, is if you look up here, a lot of my notes follow what I get from my 808, but I never actually steal completely from it. And that just really peeves me when producers go, all right, pasted it in, we're done. 808 sounds punchier, that's the track. So basically, what I would do for my bass drums is the only recommendation I have, and I'm not even going to run through my whole bass drum because it's just, so much different from the 808. So it's weird to run through, actually, because of that. But so that's where one 808 started. I added a triplet. That's where another started. I kept it. That's where another started. I kept it. Another didn't start there, so I added a note because I thought, you know what, eighth note and triplet sounds good together. Added another eighth note. Let's see. Let's see, what else? This is where a 808 started, kept that. 808 started, kept that. 808 started, kept that. So overall, somewhat similar, but not exact, especially because I'm using different notes than the 808. That's a D, C. I'm descending completely, unlike not even close to what the 808 was doing. And a lot of producers don't even tune their bass drums. They'll just have it at C. Now, I mean, you can do that, but I think it's a lot more fun, and it gives the song a lot more punch if you tune your bass drums and 808s. As Nick Mira says, tune your 808s, as I guess I'll say, tune your bass drums as well. So next, or just tune your drums and bass in general. But anyways, so next, added another triplet where that 808 started. Shifted this over to. Shifted this back to. Shifted this back to and added a triplet. So it's just taking the 808 pattern and simply not even slightly changing it enough so that it's different, but it somewhat follows it, so it can give it some punch, give it some support, while also coexisting in its own. That's what the purpose of the snare drum, I think, is. And I do think if you want to do something like, if you were to like, my 808 really needs more punch though, Steven, and I can't find a punchier 808 sound, I really want to use the method that other producers use. Well, add a second bass drum. There's nothing wrong with that. But anyways, I'll just play my bass drum for you, and then we'll go from there. So my bass drum is, let's see, why isn't it playing right now? Oh, because it's off in the, there we go. All right, so this is the bass drum. And then the bass drum and the 808 together, you'll see sound like this. We'll play right here. See, they complement each other, but they aren't the same. That's the point I'm trying to make. So anyways, that's the drum track. I think I've been recording in total for about, I'm not sure, probably close to 20 minutes again, which is not that great. I still need to get to mixing, I just realized. So really quickly, what I did for the mix. Let's go through each track. The kick. The kick, I just added a compression. Compression is where you add gain, which changes the dynamics. Limiter does the same thing. Now, limiter also has envelope 2 on it, and what an envelope is going to do, what attack is when the note starts to reach its threshold or peak. So if you have a higher attack, the longer it's going to take to reach that peak. What the release does is a release is how long it's going to take to, after I stop pressing that note, let go. The sustain is the thing in the middle. Same thing with release over here in noise gate. The gain and the threshold is how high or low you want the noise gate, which sounds exactly what it is a noise gate to be. And then let's see what else. So there's loudness over here. This is saturation. So it controls the saturation of the sound in decibels. You can actually only turn it down. It starts at 0. This is a gain, as you already know what that is. And then there is the ceiling, which is the loudest you can get. Then here we have the same thing, envelope and everything. There's the compression threshold. There's the compression ratio, compression knee. I know what the compression ratio does, I believe. I don't know what the compression knee does. It's a percent. I'm not sure what that does, but I never use it, so it doesn't really affect me anyways. Next, 2. On 2, we have, oh crap, hold on. Oh, is that why? Hold on. For some reason, the clap had a wave shaper, which is a type of distortion on it. Why? Let me turn it on and then play the clap. Turn it on. Oh, I guess, is it on the default? No, what the? That's really weird. Alright, we're deleting that. Oh, maybe because that's weird. Okay, what is the bass? Because that should be on the bass. Hold on. Delete that. The clap and snare, like I said, I really already did all the mixing within them. The snare was actually already pretty good as is, so I didn't really have to change much there. You know what I did with hats because I showed you. And then Let's see what else was there. Or what else is there? Let me check the channel. There's a kick. Good, good, good. There's the triangle. Good. There's the lamb. Good. Okay, here we go. This is where most of the mixing comes in. It comes in within um, the bass, because you can mix a little in Edison as well. So why would you even bother remixing again within the mixer? So we didn't have to remix these two things right here. So those were all done. The the brass loop reverse, the brass loop pitch down, and stretch were all done. So the only thing really heavily mixed was this hardcore kick, and what I did for that was I put a limiter on it. I already showed you what that does. Send, that just controls volume and dryness, like how how wet or dry a sound would sound. If you think about it, you can figure that out. Then there's compression, we already said, which is gain, which is dynamics. And then there's wave shifter, which is distortion, which is just going to make it sound more like a bass, which is why I was like, why does the clap have that on it? Which was obviously a mistake by me. I'm glad I caught that. And then the last thing we did for that was we went in here and we changed the envelope. We just changed the attack because we want basses hitting like that. We don't even want them to build up. So the attack should really be 0. So that's what we did in there in the envelope. And then let's see, is there anything else that we did? Oh, one last thing that I wanted to show you. Oh yeah, one last thing that we did, the kick. What the? Oh, I have to. Okay, we changed the volume using this. Double click. See how the velocity isn't at middle where it should be? The reason for that is because some notes should be, hit harder than others. These da-da-da-da need to be heard more than just the bass C notes. So how you do that is just double tap, change the velocity, maybe even the release. I wouldn't recommend that though. The release is generally pretty solid where it is, and then just click accept. If you make a mistake though on, let's say, modulation or pitch, definitely don't change pitch. I don't know why you would do that. You probably do that in something else, definitely. But if you make some sort of mistake, most likely on the release, like let's say you say, oh, I don't want any release, I just want it to snap off. I don't want like anything, which 808s are supposed to boil over a little bit, not too much. That's why it's right in the middle. But yeah, so if you make a mistake on that, though, good news is you can just click reset. It'll change it back to its base values. So that's everything on that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much how I made the drums for this and everything. And now I will play you the entire song and everything, which sounds like this. Oh, I need to, sorry about that. Just put me on this. All right. weird. For some reason, I don't hear the. Hold on, let me check one thing. And then I promise we're done, pretty much. Why isn't the. The kick is not playing for some reason. Oh, is it because kick? No. That's so weird. Oh, did I turn it off? Probably turned it off in the mixer, but yeah. Okay. Hold on. Now I have to change everything back, damn it. Hold on. Alright, change that back. That's pretty good. Did I change it? Alright, hopefully that'll be good now. Okay. Now we'll play it. Whole song. What just happened? Oh, I isolated the kick to. Alright. Entire song. I would turn these up just a little bit. Alright, and I think we're done now. They're off. Why are they off? Just realized that. Why are they? First thing line. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I gotta fix all these now. What the heck happened? It's no big deal because I can just, as long as I. Oh shit, then I have to double. I don't know if they were off. No, I don't think they're. I'm just not sure it sounds the best. Let's try it without it. I originally had that going every 8, so. But like I said, I don't know if it's the best. Shit. There we go. Maybe just doing this. Check. What the fuck? Off. These are good. What the fuck? I literally just changed. Okay, Alright, there we go. Sorry that took so much. Just a minute to record this video. How long it is. Alright, peace out. Bye.